Guys, I'm with Dr. Jock Moser, and I wanted to do a video with him because in the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a ridiculous amount of people asking me, including some of my clients, asking me what I think about a vegan diet, which we're not calling it vegan anymore. Everyone happens to be calling it a plant-based diet, by the way. So I'm like, oh, you want to be a vegan? And they're like, no, plant-based. I'm like, what? It's the same thing. So, but I wanted to cover some of the pros and cons, and who better to bring in than Dr. Jock to talk about some of the topics that we have going on, the questions, and seeing if it's actually better to be vegan or not. So, Jock, say something, man. What do you think? I know it's a hot topic on your side of town too.
Yeah. So I mean, really, a lot of people will think that going vegan is going to be beneficial, and or plant based is beneficial. But what I typically find is that those patients will feel well for a month, 2 months, 3 months. They'll lose some weight. They'll start feeling really well, and all of a sudden, their skin tone, their muscle tone, and everything will start to kind of fade away. They'll have more of like a grayish hue to their skin.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle tone is down, and they're just kind of turning into like a string bean, more or less. And it's not to make fun of them or anything. It's just it doesn't look like a healthy presentation. They don't have that vibrant skin. So there are benefits to it, just like you were saying, Raul, is that if somebody's pounding down the standard American diet, they're stopping at every single fast food restaurant, and you throw a whole bunch of veggies at them, of course they're going to feel better. Of course it's going to help them, lose weight. It's because they're going to be less inflamed. But I think the question needs to be, is that a sustainable lifestyle? And I think that's where we are right now, where we're going to be talking about more on sustainability.
And one of the things too, of course, if you have someone who has a very unhealthy diet and you put them in any type of structured eating plan, they're going to see results, whether that happens to be vegan, keto, paleo, whatever. Now you're following a structure, and any type of eating plan will be a lot better than eating out and fast foods, processed foods out of boxes, MSGs, sucralose, and all of those guys above. So you're automatically going to see results just by being in a structured plan. Now, if you grab someone who has very healthy numbers when it comes to blood work and you put them into a plant-based, that's truly where the truth comes out. Doc, from my experiments, when I was working back in 2011, 12 with the doctors, we obviously did a lot of experimentation, and I went raw vegan for quite a few weeks. And one of the things that I noticed is my testosterone dropped about 200 nanograms per deciliter in the first 4 weeks, which is, dude, you know how hard it is to bring testosterone out. And also my homocysteine levels went up, which is obviously an indicator of intracellular inflammation. So to me in particular, it just was not a good plan, okay? Now, I've also had great results. I lost muscle, 5 point something pounds of muscle, and I lost about 6 point something pounds of fat in the first 30 days. 5 point something pounds of muscle is really, really hard to come back with. Now, I've had clients who thrive on a vegan diet who I've gained 20, 30 pounds of muscle in a matter of a year and a half or two. So I do think that there are individuals that respond well. I don't think that is for everyone, and I truly believe that it's a very small percentage of people. And this may, you tell me, but it may have to do with the amount of stomach acid and the ability to break down the meats.
Yeah, I think a lot of it does. I mean, really, and I even did a video on this earlier today, is that I think stomach acid is a very misunderstood concept, and it's so simplistic that people don't think that it can be as profound as it is. So what I mean by that is when we have low stomach acid concentration, we have a low concentration, there's a couple things that will happen. We won't break down the food properly, and we won't sterilize the food properly. Now, if we're dealing with an inflamed body, a stressed individual, their stomach acid is going to tend to be lower. The concentration will be lower.
Right.
And so when you throw in like an animal protein or like chicken or eggs or something of that nature, our stomach acid won't be strong enough to break down those proteins. And then we'll have that undigested food dropping into your lower digestive tract, and then we'll have inflammatory responses, lead to leaky gut and other health conditions. Now, so if you're stressed, you're more inflamed, we throw veggies at you, you feel a little bit better. It still doesn't change the fact that we have low stomach acid concentration. Now, on the other side of things is people with low stomach acid concentration, you have to be careful of eating raw. If we eat raw and we have low stomach acid, that means then we're and break down food. And so people who jump on raw vegan diets for a sustained period of time, some people notice phenomenal results, but the majority of people that I've seen do it, they get and they feel okay at first, and then they feel the same way. They feel very lethargic. And if you have your testosterone drop 200 points, that's gonna wake up,
man. That's a lot. I mean,
never do that again. They might never even eat veggies ever again after that. You
well,
know?
I mean, like we all struggle trying to bring our testosterone up naturally as much as we can. So every time that you see that it goes up 10 points, 20 points, you're like freaking throwing a party basically. But now dropping it 200, I mean, that's huge, man. So now the other big thing that I want to touch up on is cancer. Being on a vegan diet cures cancer. I've spoken with you before when it comes to cancer. I know you deal a lot with patients that are going through it and have successfully helped them. There is a big difference, as you mentioned, where some types of cancer require a vegan diet, and then some types of cancer, that's actually not a good thing for it. They may want to go more with a ketogenic type diet, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a couple things with cancers and the typical diet, and we'll touch on a couple points, but when we have what's called a sympathetic dominant tone, some tumors, such as solid tumors, love the sympathetic nervous system. So if we're stressed out all the time, we develop, say, breast cancer, it's a solid tumor, and you're eating meats until the cows come home, that meat, that protein, that high protein content is actually going to cause your sympathetic tone to raise. Mm-hmm. So if we had high stress, high sympathetic tone, we're eating and we're feeding it, we're just going to keep feeding cancers. Now, it's not to say, I mean, ketogenic, they love their milk products and things that can cause inflammation, especially like the standard milk that people drink.
For sure.
But then on the contrasting side of that is that if we have a parasympathetic dominant cancer, then we're going to want to give them some red meat. And what that's going to do is it's going to help to stimulate that sympathetic nervous system. So we have that inverse relationship with a lot of cancers. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't treat cancer, I treat the body, and the body is able to combat these types of illnesses. And so we can have a solid tumor, which would do very good with more of a vegetarian-based diet, and we have our immune tumors or like non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, things like that, that would do better with a ketogenic type diet. Mm-hmm. Either one, again, if we're eating the standard American diet, our body ultimately responded with cancer for a reason, and it's probably diet included. So about 95% of cancers are due to lifestyle. So that's what we're putting in our mouth. That's the air that we're breathing, the water we're drinking, or soda or pop that we're drinking.
Time also.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, when you get that cancer diagnosis, it's not like you had a rough night's sleep. You wake up and think, oh man, I got prostate cancer. Yeah. That sucks. Like you're constantly filling your tumor bucket, and all of a sudden it overflows, and that's when they're able to detect it. So it takes time.
So lastly, I always ask people when they say, hey, what do you think about a vegan diet? Or, hey, Raul, can you make me a vegan meal plan? Or I want to go vegan or whatever. I ask them why. If they tell me, hey, man, I just don't think it's ethical to eat animals and the cruelty and whatnot, I 100% don't say anything. I agree, and I'm like, absolutely, and I 100% respect it. As far as they're not wearing a leather jacket when they tell me that. now, when it comes to obviously the other claims, then I try to dig a little bit deeper and try to educate people just about what we just talked about. Just to keep the video short, so we don't get people bored out of their minds. Anything that you want to add to the whole vegan topic?
Yeah, two things actually. So the first thing is when we're talking about vegan, and I forgot to mention this, and I know that you might be mentioning this too, is that a lot of people who go vegan, they'll try to find a good replacement source for their protein. And
Oh,
what they
good
typically
point.
go to is a horrible source of tofu or soy, and that's going to smash the
In
estrogen through the
excess.
roof. And then you're going to have a lot of cancers are actually estrogen dominant based cancers, breast cancer, uterine cancer. Not only that, but soy is known as an endocrine disruptor, so it's going to screw up your hormones. It can cause you to have harm. So again, if you're going there, I support for animal cruelty. I don't stand for it. I understand, but at the end of the day, if you're doing a diet per se, if you're eating and you have to supplement something in to complement your diet, it's not a sustainable diet.
Absolutely.
So there's a type of diet actually, and a guy right down the next town over, Will Cool. I was actually telling you about him. He has a ketotarian diet where it's kind of keto, kind of vegetarian, and you mix the two of them together because you still need good quality proteins from animal sources, and you still need a lot of vegetables.
Absolutely.
So you stack the two of those together, you shouldn't need to supplement anything else in. You know, a lot of people will go vegan, they'll go anemic.
It's balance. It's balance, man. I mean, we really do tend to go too drastic both ways, in my opinion. We're the country that eats the most amount of meat, and sadly, I hate to say, but it's not grass fed that we're eating. I wish we had that reputation, but it's not. So, and then when we go vegan, then all we want to do is slam tofu, tempeh, and whatnot. 5-6 times a day with a soy protein. There are a lot of protein sources, and that may be another topic. And hey, how do you get your protein? Because that's the second question that comes after I ask why they want to be vegan. But soy, once again, is abused. I'm sure if you're having soy, an organic, non-GMO soy, say a tofu or any type of fermented soy, a couple of times a week, it's okay. Now, when you're going for excess amounts, 2-3 times a day, you're pushing the envelope, in my opinion. So there's pea protein, hemp protein, if you respond well, brown rice protein, and I mean fava bean protein and so forth. Not to mention all the other proteins that you can get with different foods, as far as you're able to mix the amino acids properly, so you're not losing muscle.
Exactly.
And that's where the hard part about structuring a vegan plan comes in. So, any final thoughts?
I think the take home is we're not bashing anybody who wants to be a vegan philosophically, but at the same time, if you're trying to be healthy, I don't think that it's a sustainable diet. So make sure you're doing it, research it before you do it. Don't just do it because it's a fad. Because if you start it for a short period of time or even a long period of time, then you give it up, you can have some backlash symptoms from it too. You can go very toxic very quickly. So make sure you reach out to somebody like you who knows how to structure, meal plans and things like that. And if you need hormone or anything else on the other end, the doctor side of things, contact us. We'd love to be able to help you, whatever your goals are.
Absolutely. Awesome, dude. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. So we'll see what kind of comments we get from this, and then maybe more videos will come out of it. Like I said, the interest is on this topic is heavy. So I'm pretty excited.
Perfect, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.